back to my channel. It is of course Chelsea of She Designs Things. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how to name your website and or your business. So of course, if you would like to know the tips that I use for naming businesses, then stay tuned. So in my last video, I went over branding your business, but I decided I wanted to kind of break down each process of kind of business creation, if you will. So here I have just a regular old Word document that I've set up in no specific way. It's just a way for me to create a list. And I'm going to kind of walk you through what I do whenever I need to name or start branding a business. This is important because while you're deciding on your business name, you also need to be checking other resources to make sure that the website you want is available. And of course, it's not already trademarked. So I just feel like this is such an essential part of creating a business. I can't tell you how many times I've had to set up domains and it's like the person's domain that they want doesn't exist. And they've already set up their LLC and everything. And I'm like, well, we can do this one or two ways. So I want to help you start off and make sure that you're already doing it the correct way versus being like, well, it's already taken. What am I going to do? So if you have a business idea, this is something you should do immediately, all at once, just all at once, all in the same day, all in the same moment, if you will. So I'm going to give you kind of an example of how not my name particularly, but how I name names. I start with pretty much concepts of ideas. So for this idea, I'm going to just say that we are trying to create, I don't know, a pattern business, Maybe you're a designer that really likes to work in creating patterns and intricate designs with patterns. And that's pretty much, what you do for your business. So what I'll do is create a list similar to this. And you want to kind of identify the word that you would associate with your business. So if you are creating patterns, you would say pattern. And then let's say you're doing a different kind of business. If you're doing I don't know, law, you would say law, something like that. Logos, if you're doing logos, you would say logo. If you're a photographer, you'd write photographer. You just need to have that generalized category for your specific business. So for this, I'm going to say pattern only because it is specific to this type of designer. Now, you'll take that word pattern and you'll just kind of copy the word. Take the word pattern and you want to do some research on the word that you associate with your business. So here I'm just going to Google the word pattern and we'll see a couple of things that come up. We want to look at the nouns associated with pattern and we want to look at what is similar. So a repeated decorative design. We have design, decoration, motif, marking, ornament, and so on and so forth. You see there's a whole list of things you can go off of. But you want to take those words that are similar, that are similar, and just kind of look at different things in them. The word design is often overused and you probably won't stand out if you use design. Same for decoration. I mean, you're not decorating a cake, so maybe you don't want to use decoration. But if you are, it's something you want to take a look at adding. But I think for this example, I'm going to use motif. So I'm going to look at what it means, just a general term, because you want to make sure you're using the correct word for what it is that you do. And this says a decorative design or pattern. So literally pretty much the same thing as pattern. So now we can take the word pattern and add the word motif to there as well. So back inside of my document, I am literally just going to add an equal sign and then add the word motif. So now I have a gist for what it is that I want to work with as far as the first structure of starting the business name. Now, at this point, you can do one of two things. You can start looking at domains that use the word pattern or use the word motif to see where, your business will fall in line, just in case you don't have the name yet and you need a bit of an idea. So I am actually going to just use Google Domains and any domain service provider you can go to and kind of search domains. So I'm going to search just the word pattern. And we can see that pattern.com is taken, .net is taken, .org is taken, info is expensive, and .store is $540 a year. And we just don't have that kind of cash flow. We're a small business, we're just starting. So what could we add to the word pattern that would, give us more to work with as far as looking for a domain? We could go with our favorite color. We could say black pattern, yellow, blue. Actually, let's try that. So we'll say black pattern. So black pattern, while available, is, a little expensive to buy because it's something that is very common. So two common words put together will also cost you more money. So maybe we'll try a less common pattern phrase. We'll say pink pattern. That's even costs more money. Of course it does. Blue. That's less. Green. And you kind of see where I'm going with this. We can go through general colors, especially if you want to have a .com. You can also do other domain extensions if you prefer, but I'm just going to focus really on the .com aspect of selecting that business name for your domain as well. Now, let's say you don't want to use the color, so you want to use something else. Maybe let's say that we're going to create a blog. You want to start a blog about your pattern designs. What's another way of having a blog? A blog is literally just a community that you have. So when you think about it that way, what's another word for community? So now here, I'm just going to add the word community right under and equals. And so now we'll do the same sort of search. So here we have community, and we see that the similar is a group of people. Well, let's read what it means. A group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. So maybe the blog that you're writing is because, well, it's a blog, people who are interested, or maybe they are also designers who like to design in this sort of patternistic style. So it could be a group, a section, a body, a sisterhood or brotherhood or sorority. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it any of those things, but it's totally your choice. We could also use society, which is quite common. Now, let's also make sure when you're doing that, you take a good look at sort of the meanings of the additional words. So we have a group of people living together in one place, especially one practicing common ownership. So let's just see society. All right, and here we have with our society. So as we see, we have all these different similar words that we can use, but I think the word society is probably going to work. But before you even decide if you want to use, say, I don't know, society, we have to think about how it relates to what it is that you're creating. We know we're creating this blog. And a blog is where we'll have kind of a community of people who are interested in the same topic. And you could say, a group or a section, but that's just too wordy. So that's why we're looking for another way to designate an area or a zone. What are some similar words? Now, if we take the words that we've seen so far, such as society, and we add it to our list, what do we come up with? So now we have a society, and let's add these things together. So we'll say, instead of pattern community, that just sounds a little generic, a little boring, and we're talking specifically about design. So we want something that's going to stand out. What if we were to say, instead of it being like, we could title our business the Motif Society, but instead we can just call it Motif Society for its domain's sake. But before we go ahead and move forward and do that, let's just make sure it's available. But first, let me add these together. Motif plus, I can't spell apparently, I-T-Y. All right, so we have those together, and this is going to equal, and it needs to equal the domain name. So let's go see if the domain is available. So here we have Motif Society, and it is available. So here we see that Motif Society is available. It's using the popular.com. The words in this name are spelled correctly. This name is easy to pronounce and type when heard. Therefore, if you were to write something like, I don't know, the Motif Society and make it like a shirt group, or blog, or maybe you are literally a designer of fabrics and people can come and purchase the fabrics from your, website. Bam. There's your name, Motif Society. But this isn't just a full stop right here. Now we have to make sure that this name, particularly together, is not trademarked. So here I'm under just the trademark, so you can search for trademarks, and I'll leave a link below. And we're gonna say in our head that Motif Society is actually just one word. We're going to use it as one word, one namesake. There is nothing that match the records with this particular name. So even if we separated it, we're gonna get 3 hits back. However, none of these actually are trademarks for the words. These are trademarks for marks, so actual logo marks. And it's just because they're using the term society inside of their namesake. So that's why you see that society is showing up. So society is here, society is there, society is right there. But our Motif Society is not taken and is not trademarked. Now, what about other businesses that might be using the term or using, this verbiage? So here we can see that there are a few organizations that use the phrase. There's only one that uses the actual name. However, they didn't buy the domain. Don't be like them. Don't do yourself a disservice and not purchase your domain. So although this is the name that they're using, Motif Society, and they are a nonprofit, I highly, 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 highly recommend buying your domain. And I say this because if you recall, under the Google site domains, it's literally $12 a year. And although they're a nonprofit, they also didn't purchase the .org domain, and it's literally just $12 a year. So hopefully this company or this organization will see this video and know to buy their domain, because they don't own their domain and they also don't have a trademark for it. Therefore, anyone else can just come in and grab it. And although this is a video, please don't be the jerk that does it. Okay, so they have their social media, and they seem to be like a dance organization here. So this is their website. It is a WordPress site. I would recommend, if you're not having too much, just switching over to Google site real quick. Bada bing, bada boom. You guys already know how I feel about that. So I would kind of try and do that if I were working with this organization, just because it would make sense to buy the domain so that it's not up for grabs. All right, and then this is the other organization that is using it. It's motifinstitute.com, and this is Institute for Digital Culture, and that's pretty much it. So again, when it comes to selecting your business name, understand that a business might exist that uses your name that's kind of been in practice, but if they didn't buy the domain and they don't have a trademark for said domain, it's up for grabs. Unfortunately, that is the way of the world. Now, what's something you could do if you are like this business and you already exist and you already have established your name? What could you do if somebody were to purchase this Motif Society namesake? There's a few things you could actually do. So if you say wanted to have the .org, well, the .com, say someone took the .com, you could then decide if you want to switch to using a different sort of name ending. So let's say you could do let's see, what .community, that could work, but that's a little wordy, a little long, so wherever you place it, just make sure that you kind of change it so that it matches a little bit. You could also add an S, and this is funny because sometimes adding an S at the end of things, it confuses other people, but it helps for you. So obviously society with an S at the end is not correct. It would change to societies, TIES. And this is what you would have to work with. Now, if your business is not an LLC and you're not registered, or you are a nonprofit but you don't have any of those things set up, you can rebrand and rename. But if you've already gone through all of the hoops of setting up your name, your domain, it's probably best for you to decide on a different domain or select a domain that's as close as possible to your business or LLC name. You could also work under what's known as a DBA. For those of you not familiar with a DBA is literally just doing business as. So I am registered as She Designs Things LLC. That is my business, but I also do business as the Bouquet Lens, instead of me trying to start completely separate businesses, because they do sometimes overlap. It is just easier for me to do my business as both. So you can set up a DBA and use that DBA for your company, even if you register your LLC as a Motif Society and then actually end up changing the business name on your websites, on the designs, on the everything except your letterhead, because you want to make sure that your official company letterhead states what your business really is. For example, Google is owned by its parent company Alphabet. Google is Google LLC. So keep that in mind when you're coming up with your business. All right, so I do hope this video, while a little bit long, was helpful in helping you decide on your business and helping you know the steps and processes you should be taking pretty much all at once when you are trying to come up with your business name. And I have to say this all the time. I enjoy coming up with business names, but I also understand the nuances of American English and the psychology behind what people say and how people search. If you are one of those people with a really long-winded business name, like that's too long. That's too long. Let's shorten it down a little bit. Just make it a little bit smaller,
That whole thing's your name, huh? Do you have a shorter name?
So, anyways, I digress. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will see ya.